Have you ever wondered why, despite all your efforts, breakthroughs sometimes feel delayed or completely blocked? You practice manifestation techniques, you visualize your future, you meditate, and you do all the so-called right things. Yet, something feels off. Progress doesn't come as easily as it should. The truth is, it may not be your lack of effort at all. Instead, it could be the very act of prematurely revealing your journey that weakens it. This is the paradox almost no one talks about. Transformation begins as a subtle spark deep within you, an energy that is fragile, tender, and sacred. Like a seed beneath the soil, it carries unimaginable potential. But just as a seed cannot grow if constantly dug up to show others its progress, your transformation cannot thrive if you reveal it too soon. You see, the subconscious mind and the quantum field work in mysterious ways. They respond to intention, coherence, and silence. When you hold your vision privately, it is like pressure building inside a vessel. It becomes stronger, denser, more real. But when you constantly broadcast your inner work to others before it's fully rooted, that energy disperses. What was once focused and powerful becomes diluted, weakened, and scattered. This is not just spiritual philosophy, it mirrors quantum science. In quantum mechanics, there is a principle known as the observer effect. At the subatomic level, reality doesn't settle into form until it is observed. Possibilities collapse into actuality only when attention is applied. Now think about your dreams, your visions, your growth. When you reveal them prematurely, you invite countless external observers into your field. Their thoughts, doubts, and judgments act like additional measurements, disrupting the coherence of your creation. Most people don't realize they are sabotaging their transformation not by what they do in private, but by what they share in public. They reveal the vision before it has matured. They talk about the shift before it is stable. And in doing so, they unconsciously leak the very energy required to bring it into reality. The world tells us that sharing is empowering, that speaking your truth is always liberating. But wisdom tells us something else. There is a time to plant and there is a time to harvest. There is a time to protect and there is a time to reveal. If you confuse the two, you block your own evolution. Think about how many times you've felt excited about a new idea, a new path, a new identity. You told someone about it right away, and for a short while it felt validating. You received attention, encouragement, maybe even admiration. But then, as days passed, the spark died down. The motivation seemed to vanish. That wasn't coincidence, that was energy dispersal. Your subconscious mind works like a predictive algorithm. Once you talk too much about what you're going to do, your brain interprets it as if it's already done. It releases the sense of urgency and momentum. The subconscious thinks, we've already achieved this because we've already experienced the reward of recognition. And just like that, the inner fire dims. So, the first secret we must uncover is this: premature revelation is the hidden saboteur of transformation. Real growth doesn't demand constant validation. Real transformation thrives in silence, in secrecy, in the sacred protection of your inner sanctuary. The universe rewards those who can hold their power quietly until the moment of manifestation is undeniable. In this series, we will explore how oversharing blocks your growth, why silence is your superpower, and how to guard your transformation until it becomes unshakable. For now, remember this truth: what you keep sacred grows stronger, and what you reveal too soon becomes fragile. Your transformation isn't being blocked by external forces, it's being weakened by exposure. Stop revealing the secret before it's ready, and you'll begin to witness the true power of your becoming. Imagine for a moment that your personal energy is like water stored in a sacred vessel. Every dream you nurture, every intention you set, every transformation you initiate is like filling that vessel drop by drop. Slowly, the container becomes heavier, more pressurized, more potent. But the moment you start talking excessively about your plans, visions, or inner experiences, it's as if you poke small holes into that vessel. The energy begins to leak out, not in torrents, but in subtle, invisible streams. This phenomenon is more dangerous than most realize because the leak is not obvious. You don't see your energy dripping away. You only feel the consequences later. Lack of motivation, dwindling clarity, weakened willpower. You might think you lost discipline, or maybe you weren't cut out for the path. But in truth, you simply lost too much energy through the act of premature revelation. Why does this happen? Because energy follows attention. When you explain your vision to someone, you are essentially splitting your attention between the internal work and the external reaction. Your subconscious begins to shift focus away from nurturing the seed and toward managing perception. Instead of pure creation, you become entangled in how others see you, whether they approve, whether they doubt, whether they admire. And every one of these reactions creates interference patterns in your inner field. Think of the subconscious mind as a powerful predictive algorithm. It is always scanning, always calculating, always adjusting your path based on feedback. When you receive praise for sharing a vision, your subconscious thinks, this must be the reward we were working for. And it releases dopamine. But dopamine is tricky. It creates the illusion of progress without actual achievement. You feel as though you've already succeeded, which tricks your system into relaxing. The urgency to act fades away because the brain has already celebrated victory. Now, consider the opposite. What happens when you reveal your transformation to someone who doesn't understand, who doubts you, or who questions your choices? Instantly, their doubt becomes an energetic imprint in your field. Your subconscious, designed to protect you, interprets that doubt as danger. Suddenly, fear and hesitation creep in. What was once a clear, strong direction now feels uncertain. You begin second-guessing yourself, not because your vision was wrong, but because you allowed another person's frequency to enter your field before you were ready to withstand it. This is why silence is not weakness, it is strategic protection. When you withhold your vision, you conserve energy. Your subconscious remains focused, coherent, aligned. You don't give it premature signals of success, nor do you expose it to external doubt. Instead, you allow momentum to build naturally, like steam inside a pressure chamber. And when the time is right, that stored energy propels you forward with unstoppable force. Cultures throughout history have understood this principle. Ancient mystics, shamans, and spiritual teachers often advise students to practice silence during their initiations. In esoteric traditions, secrets were considered sacred not because they were elitist, but because revealing them too soon weakened their power. Modern psychology has also caught up to this truth. Studies show that people who publicly announce their goals are less likely to achieve them, precisely because the announcement provides a false sense of accomplishment. Oversharing doesn't just drain your energy, it also binds you to other people's timelines. Once you tell someone your vision, they unconsciously hold you accountable to their perception of it. Suddenly, you are not just living your transformation, you are performing it for an audience. And performance energy is vastly different from creation energy. One flows outward for approval, the other flows inward for alignment. So here lies the danger. Every time you overshare, you trade creation energy for performance energy. You leak your focus into the external world, where it gets tangled in reactions, judgments, and distractions. Slowly, the vessel that once overflowed with potential becomes hollow. And when you finally need that energy to act, to persist, to manifest, you find it has already slipped away. The solution is simple, but not always easy. Practice sacred secrecy. Protect your energy as though it were gold. Speak only when the vision has become strong enough to withstand the weight of external observation. Guard your transformation like a sacred fire, hidden from the winds of opinion until it grows into a flame too powerful to extinguish. Your subconscious algorithm is always running, always learning, always predicting. The question is, will you feed it with silent action that strengthens your transformation, or with empty recognition that drains it? The choice determines whether you rise or remain stuck. Remember, transformation is not blocked by lack of effort, it is blocked by leaks. And oversharing is the fastest way to create those leaks. Stop revealing the secret. Seal the vessel. Protect your energy. And soon, you will discover that what once felt impossible now unfolds effortlessly. Silence has always been misunderstood. In our modern world, silence is often seen as emptiness, as absence, as weakness. People are taught to speak, to share, to broadcast every thought and every step of their journey. But those who truly transform, those who create lasting shifts in their lives and realities, understand that silence is not emptiness at all. It is fullness. It is power condensed, waiting to be released at the right time. Think of the seed buried in soil. It does not announce its growth. It does not scream about the roots it is forming or the tiny sprout preparing to break through. The silence is its strength. Beneath the surface, in the dark, in the quiet, the most important work is being done. The seed knows that to reveal itself too early would mean death. So it waits, storing energy, drawing nutrients, expanding in secret, until it becomes strong enough to face the sun. Your transformation works exactly the same way. When you choose silence, you are not avoiding the world, you are preparing for it. You are giving your subconscious space to reorganize, to build new neural pathways, to anchor new beliefs without interference. In the quiet, your subconscious can test new patterns, strengthen them, and solidify them before they ever meet the resistance of external reality. The truth is, noise weakens transformation, but silence amplifies it. When you remain silent about your inner changes, your subconscious receives a clear message. This is real. This is important. This must be preserved. Without the distraction of outside opinions, your energy flows inward, feeding your transformation instead of dispersing outward. Silence creates coherence. It turns scattered thoughts into focused direction. There's another dimension to silence that most people overlook: mystery. When you are silent about your journey, you radiate a subtle, magnetic energy that others can feel. They may not understand what is happening, but they sense something shifting. And instead of explaining, instead of revealing, you allow your silence to speak louder than words ever could. This mystery fuels curiosity, and curiosity often becomes respect. In spiritual traditions, silence is not just the absence of words, it is the presence of awareness. Masters and mystics alike taught that silence is the gateway to higher consciousness. In the quiet, you can hear the whispers of your soul, the guidance of your intuition, the subtle nudges of universal intelligence. Words often drown out this guidance, but silence makes space for it. That is why the greatest revelations come not when you are talking, but when you are still. Modern science, too, confirms the power of silence. Studies on the brain show that silence activates the default mode network, a system linked to creativity, self-reflection, and integration of new knowledge. In other words, silence literally rewires your brain for transformation. The absence of external input allows the subconscious to reorganize, connect dots, and create breakthroughs. But why does silence feel so uncomfortable for so many? Because silence forces us to face ourselves. Without the distraction of explaining our journey, without the validation of others, we must sit with our own doubts, our own fears, our own unfinished transformation. And yet, this is precisely why silence is necessary. True transformation is not about convincing others, it is about convincing yourself. And you cannot do that if you are constantly leaking energy through words. Here's the paradox. The quieter you become, the more powerful your presence becomes. People will notice your energy shift long before you ever explain it. They will sense the calm, the clarity, the subtle authority that comes from someone who no longer needs to prove themselves. And when the time comes to reveal your transformation, you will do so not with desperate words, but with undeniable results. Silence also protects you from premature resistance. Every vision, every change, every dream has a fragile stage, a time when it is not yet strong enough to withstand criticism. By staying silent, you shield your transformation during its most vulnerable phase. You keep it hidden from those who might not understand, from those who might judge, from those who might unconsciously sabotage your progress. In silence, your transformation becomes like steel forged in fire, tested privately, revealed only when it is unbreakable. Think of all the great innovators, mystics, and leaders throughout history. Rarely did they announce their plans before they were ready. They worked in silence, built in secrecy, and emerged only when the world could no longer ignore their creation. Their silence was not passive, it was active. It was a crucible where vision turned into reality. And so, the invitation is simple. Reclaim the silent power of transformation. Stop explaining. Stop revealing. Stop seeking validation. Instead, retreat inward. Nurture your vision in the dark, protect your energy, and allow your subconscious to weave the new patterns of your life. When the time comes, your results will speak with a voice louder than any words you could have spoken. Because transformation doesn't need noise. It doesn't need explanation. It doesn't need permission. It only needs silence, time, and the unwavering trust that when the seed is ready, it will break through the soil, not with words, but with undeniable reality. Why is it that when we keep something to ourselves, it feels heavier, more powerful, more real? Why does secrecy carry such weight in the human psyche? The answer lies in the fascinating relationship between the subconscious mind, energy, and psychology. At its core, secrecy is not about hiding, it is about containment. Think of your mind as a container of energy. Every thought you have generates energy. When you share that thought, a portion of that energy leaves you. It disperses into the minds of others, diluted by their reactions, interpretations, and judgments. But when you keep something secret, when you hold it close, that energy stays concentrated inside you. It becomes stronger, more potent, more magnetic. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. It refers to the way our brains hold on tightly to unfinished or unrevealed thoughts and goals. When you reveal your vision too soon, your brain feels a false sense of completion. You've spoken it aloud, others have acknowledged it, and suddenly the urgency to act weakens. But when you keep it secret, your subconscious keeps pushing, driving you toward the completion of that goal. Secrecy, then, becomes fuel for momentum. There's also a neurological reason secrecy works. The brain thrives on anticipation. When you withhold information, your brain generates dopamine, the neurotransmitter of motivation and focus, because it senses that something important is in progress. This heightened state of focus keeps you engaged with your goal. By contrast, when you share your plans too early, your brain releases dopamine prematurely, tricking you into feeling as though you've already achieved something. And that is why secrecy so often separates those who dream from those who actually accomplish. But the psychology of secrecy goes deeper. Secrets carry a kind of sacredness. From ancient initiation rituals to modern storytelling, the things kept hidden always carry more power than the things spoken freely. A secret activates the subconscious belief that this is valuable, this is special, this must be protected. And the moment you attach value to something in your subconscious, your mind begins reorganizing itself to align with it. On a social level, secrecy alters dynamics too. When you hold something back, you subtly shift the balance of power. You no longer depend on others for validation or understanding. Instead, you stand in quiet authority, knowing something they don't. This creates intrigue, sometimes even respect. People are drawn to those who don't reveal everything, because mystery awakens curiosity, and curiosity is magnetic. Yet there is also a danger in secrecy, and it is important to acknowledge it. If secrecy is rooted in fear, in shame, or in self-doubt, it can become toxic. A secret carried as a burden weighs down the psyche, creating stress, anxiety, and even physical illness. But when secrecy is rooted in empowerment, in the conscious choice to protect your transformation, it becomes a source of strength. The difference lies in your intention. Are you hiding because you're afraid of judgment? Or are you choosing silence because you know your vision is still growing? Spiritual traditions understood this balance deeply. Mystics often practiced sacred secrecy, withholding certain teachings until a student was ready to receive them, not because they wanted to deny knowledge, but because they recognized that premature revelation dilutes wisdom. In the same way, your subconscious transformation must be revealed only when it has matured enough to withstand the test of external reality. In today's world of oversharing, where people broadcast their lives online in real time, secrecy has become even more powerful. When everyone is revealing everything, the person who withholds becomes the most intriguing. The one who protects their vision in silence radiates an energy that others cannot quite define, but cannot ignore. Here's the paradox. Secrecy doesn't isolate you, it magnetizes you. The more you protect your transformation, the more others are drawn to the energy of it. They sense the depth, the confidence, the quiet strength, even if they don't understand where it comes from. And that is exactly how transformation should be, seen in your presence, not explained in your words. So the next time you feel the urge to reveal your secret dream, pause. Ask yourself, is this fully formed, or is it still fragile? Does it need protection, or is it strong enough to stand on its own? More often than not, the answer will be that it still needs silence, still needs secrecy, still needs to grow in the sacred space of your subconscious. Because the truth is simple, what you protect grows. What you reveal prematurely often dissolves. Your subconscious is a predictive algorithm, yes, but it is also a sacred vault. The secrets you place in that vault are charged with energy, infused with meaning, and amplified by focus. And when the time is right, they emerge not as fragile ideas, but as undeniable realities. Have you ever noticed how excited you feel when you first come up with a new idea, a powerful vision, or a life-changing goal? In those first moments, it feels electric. The energy runs through your body, your mind races with possibilities, and your heart beats faster with anticipation. That spark, that undeniable surge, is pure creative energy. But here's the catch. The moment you share it with someone else, something changes. That fire, once so alive, often begins to dim. Why? Because sharing weakens your energy. Let's break this down. When you announce your vision before it's ready, you unconsciously invite external energy into a process that was meant to be internal. Instead of nurturing the fragile seed in the fertile soil of your subconscious, you've pulled it out too soon to show others. And just like a seed exposed to the cold air, it loses the protection it needs to grow. There is a psychological mechanism behind this phenomenon. When you speak your goal aloud, your brain rewards you with a rush of dopamine, the very same chemical that fuels motivation and progress. But here's the problem. The brain doesn't know the difference between talking about your dream and actually doing it. It interprets your words as a small victory, tricking you into feeling as though you've already accomplished something. The urgency to act diminishes. The fire begins to fade. This is why so many people feel stuck in cycles of big announcements but little follow-through. They declare their plans, bask in the temporary praise or validation they receive, and then struggle to maintain the momentum because their subconscious no longer feels the same drive. The energy has been released outward, dissipated into the opinions and reactions of others. And make no mistake, every reaction has an impact. When you share your secret, the energy of others begins to intertwine with it. If they support you, you may feel uplifted. But even then, you've made yourself dependent on their validation. If they doubt you, criticize you, or dismiss your dream, you absorb their energy too, energy that creates resistance, self-doubt, and fear. Suddenly, what was once pure creative momentum becomes clouded by other people's projections. The subtle danger is that most people don't realize this is happening. They confuse external validation with progress. But in reality, the more people you tell, the weaker the energy becomes. Instead of being concentrated like a laser beam, your vision scatters like light through a broken prism. Consider this. When ancient inventors, mystics, and leaders were birthing something revolutionary, they often worked in silence. They knew that energy must remain concentrated until the creation was ready to withstand the external world. Nikola Tesla, Leonardo da Vinci, and countless spiritual teachers understood that revealing too much too soon exposes your vision to interference. Energy leaks out, and once it's gone, it's almost impossible to reclaim in the same intensity. Think of your dream as a balloon filled with air. Every time you share it, a little air escapes. Each conversation is a tiny puncture. Eventually, the balloon that once floated with possibility lies deflated on the ground. Not because the dream wasn't powerful, but because it wasn't protected. There is also an energetic truth hidden in spirituality. Words carry frequency. Every time you speak your vision, you shift its frequency into the physical world before it's fully aligned in the energetic world. In doing so, you collapse possibilities prematurely, limiting what could have unfolded if you had held it in silence a little longer. Sharing also triggers another subconscious trap: the influence of external expectations. Once you've revealed your vision, you begin to feel the weight of others watching. Their questions, "How's that going?" or "Did you make progress?" create subtle pressure. That pressure doesn't motivate, it drains. You are no longer moving from inspiration, but from fear of judgment. And when energy shifts from inspiration to fear, transformation slows down or even stops. This is why the most profound transformations often happen in silence. When you protect your energy, you allow it to build like pressure inside a chamber, gaining power until it's unstoppable. When you leak it through words, it dissipates. Sharing weakens your energy because it replaces the pure internal drive with external noise. It transforms sacred momentum into scattered fragments of validation, doubt, expectation, and distraction. But here's the empowering truth. You don't have to leak your energy. You can choose silence. You can let your actions, your transformation, your presence speak for you. Instead of telling the world what you are about to do, let them see what you have become. That is far more powerful than any words. So the next time you feel the urge to announce your secret, pause. Ask yourself, do I want validation or do I want transformation? Because they are not the same. Validation feels good for a moment. Transformation changes everything forever. If sharing weakens your energy, then silence strengthens it. In a world where everyone is constantly broadcasting their lives, silence has become one of the rarest and most powerful forces you can embody. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is concentrated energy. It is the field where transformation grows in secret, protected from the noise of external interference. When you choose silence, you are not just withholding words, you are creating a sacred container. Think of it as a vault where your dreams, visions, and transformations are stored, locked away from the hands and eyes of those who may not understand. Inside that vault, your energy gathers strength. Every unspoken thought, every unshared intention, compounds like interest in a hidden account. Mystery, too, carries a magnetic power. Humans are wired to be curious. What is unseen always draws more attention than what is displayed. When you embody silence and mystery, people are naturally drawn to you. They feel something happening beneath the surface, but they can't quite name it. That mystery creates magnetism. Instead of chasing validation, you find validation chasing you. But the power of silence is not just psychological. It is energetic. When you keep your intentions within, you are allowing energy to circulate and expand inside your system. Instead of scattering it outward, you concentrate it inward. This creates coherence, a state where your thoughts, emotions, and actions align. In coherence, your energy field becomes stronger, more focused, and far more capable of collapsing quantum possibilities into reality. Consider nature. The seed does not announce its growth underground. It waits silently in the soil, absorbing nutrients, strengthening itself, preparing for the moment it will break through the surface. The butterfly does not declare to the world what is happening inside the cocoon. This transformation is hidden, protected, silent, until the perfect moment when it emerges in undeniable beauty. Silence is the birthplace of transformation. Mystics and sages throughout history understood this principle. They retreated into caves, forests, and deserts not because they wished to escape the world, but because they knew that silence is where the deepest transformation happens. They guarded their inner processes because they understood that mystery multiplies energy. Even in modern times, look at the people you admire most. Rarely are they the ones who announce every step of their journey. Instead, they disappear, they work, they transform, and then suddenly reappear with something extraordinary. The silence between their actions is what amplifies their impact. There is also a spiritual dimension to mystery. When you keep something hidden, you are in alignment with the natural rhythm of creation. The universe itself works in mystery. Stars are born in the invisible darkness of space. The roots of a tree expand silently beneath the ground. The most powerful processes are the ones unseen. Your life is no different. By embracing silence, you also step into sovereignty. You are no longer dependent on external validation or reaction. Your energy is self-sustaining, nourished from within. Mystery frees you from the pressure of expectations, allowing your transformation to unfold naturally, without interference. But silence is not passive. It requires strength. It is easy to speak, easy to reveal, easy to seek validation. It takes true discipline to hold your energy in mystery. Every time you resist the urge to announce your progress, you strengthen your inner power. Every time you choose silence over disclosure, you are telling the universe, I trust this process. I don't need the world to confirm it. I will reveal it when it's ready. And here is the paradox. The less you reveal, the more powerful your revelation becomes. When the seed finally breaks through the soil, it is undeniable. When the butterfly emerges, it is breathtaking. When your transformation becomes visible, it speaks louder than 1,000 words ever could. Silence amplifies the final impact. This is why mystery has always been linked to sacredness. That which is hidden is considered holy. Your transformation is sacred. Your energy is sacred. Your destiny is sacred. Protect it with silence. Wrap it in mystery. And when the time comes, let your life, not your words, be the revelation. So, the next time you feel impatient, the next time you want to tell the world what is coming, remember this. The power is in the silence. The strength is in the mystery. Transformation thrives in the shadows, and when it emerges, it will be unstoppable. If silence and mystery are the soil where transformation thrives, then oversharing is the storm that uproots it before it can take root. Many people don't realize it, but the habit of oversharing is one of the greatest obstacles to inner growth. It is subtle, addictive, and deeply ingrained in modern life. Breaking it is not easy, but it is essential if you truly want to unlock your transformation. Why do we share so much? At its core, oversharing comes from a need for validation. We want to be seen, acknowledged, and celebrated for our progress. Every time we reveal a piece of our journey, we hope to receive approval, praise, or recognition. And for a moment, it feels good. But soon after, the energy weakens, the validation fades, and the transformation loses momentum. It is like taking a cake out of the oven too early to show someone. It collapses, the heat escapes, and the process is ruined. The same happens with your inner transformation. When you share too soon, you let out the heat that was meant to strengthen you. The modern world fuels this habit. Social media has trained us to reveal everything. Our thoughts, our struggles, our plans, our victories. Platforms reward us with likes and comments, giving us the illusion of progress. But in reality, each disclosure disperses energy. Instead of focusing on the transformation itself, we begin performing for an audience. And performance is the enemy of authentic growth. Breaking this habit begins with awareness. Notice how often you feel the urge to share something before it is ready. Pay attention to that inner voice that says, tell them what you're working on, post about it, prove yourself. That voice is not your higher self. It is the ego craving attention. The ego thrives on being seen, but your transformation thrives on being protected. The next step is discipline. Choose deliberately when to remain silent. When you feel the urge to announce your progress, pause. Ask yourself, is this ready to be revealed, or am I seeking validation? If the answer is validation, hold it back. Train yourself to resist the short-term pleasure of attention in exchange for the long-term power of transformation. You may face discomfort at first. Silence feels heavy when you're used to constant sharing. You may even feel invisible. But remember, invisibility is not weakness. It is strength. It means your energy is gathering inward, not leaking outward. Just as a storm gathers power in silence before it strikes, your transformation gathers strength in secrecy before it reveals itself. Breaking the habit of oversharing also requires redefining your relationship with validation. Ask yourself, why do I need others to confirm my growth? Why do I not trust myself enough to let it unfold in silence? The truth is, you don't need anyone to witness your process. You only need to witness it yourself. When you validate yourself, external approval becomes irrelevant. One practical technique is to create a private container for your transformation. Instead of broadcasting your plans or breakthroughs, write them down in a journal. Speak them only to yourself in meditation. Channel the energy inward rather than outward. This simple act redirects the flow of energy, keeping it intact and powerful. You may also need to set boundaries with others. Some people will ask about your progress, your plans, your visions. Learn to answer without revealing too much. A simple, "I'm working on something important, and you'll see when the time is right," is enough. Protect your process with dignity. The less you explain, the stronger your energy remains. Breaking the cycle of oversharing is also about trust. Trusting the universe, trusting your higher self, trusting the process. The need to share often comes from fear. Fear that if you don't announce it, it won't happen. But the opposite is true. The less you announce, the more power you give the process to unfold naturally. Silence is a declaration of trust. Over time, as you practice this, you will notice a shift. Your energy will feel more concentrated. Your focus will deepen. You will feel less scattered, less dependent on external approval. Instead of wasting energy on performance, you will channel it into creation. And when your transformation finally becomes visible, it will carry an undeniable force. Remember this, the world does not need to see your seed. It needs to see your tree. The world does not need to witness your cocoon. It needs to witness your wings. Oversharing robs the world of the full impact of your emergence. Silence protects it until it's ready. Breaking the habit of oversharing is an act of self-mastery. It is choosing sovereignty over dependency. It is choosing depth over display. And ultimately, it is choosing transformation over validation. So, the next time you feel the impulse to reveal too much, stop. Hold your energy. Trust the silence. Your transformation is not a performance. It is a sacred process. And when it is complete, the world will not need your words to believe it. Your very presence will be proof. If premature words weaken transformation, then silence becomes the hidden superpower of those who are ready to grow beyond ordinary limits. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is not weakness. Silence is the womb of all creation, the unseen chamber where energy gathers before it becomes form. And those who master silence master transformation itself. We live in a world addicted to noise. Social media, conversations, news, endless sharing. Everything pushes us to speak, to reveal, to announce. But the soul does not grow in noise. It grows in the stillness of silence. Your subconscious, your higher self, the very intelligence of the universe, they do not need words. They need presence. They need energy that is undivided and unscattered. And this is why silence is the most radical form of strength. When you choose silence, you are reclaiming power from the external world and directing it inward. You are refusing to let the outside dictate your timing. You are protecting your energy from leaks, distractions, and unnecessary influences. Silence becomes the shield that guards your transformation until it is fully formed. Think about nature. The seed grows in silence. The roots form underground before the tree ever breaks through the soil. The most powerful transformations are invisible long before they are undeniable. Silence is not a lack of growth. It is the very condition for growth. And here lies the paradox. Silence looks passive to the outside world, but inside, it is fiercely active. Every moment you choose silence, you are building, aligning, and strengthening your future. You are allowing your subconscious predictive algorithm, the inner oracle we discussed earlier, to reprogram without interference. You are giving your higher self space to recalibrate your destiny. Silence also carries magnetic energy. Have you noticed how people are drawn to those who don't over-explain themselves? Those who hold back, who keep a sense of mystery, often feel more powerful. This is because silence generates a field of intrigue and authority. It signals that you are not dependent on validation. And in a world hungry for constant attention, that restraint radiates strength. But silence is not just about withholding words from others. It's about cultivating silence within yourself. True power comes when your inner dialogue becomes still, when your mind is not running wild with doubts, overthinking, or constant chatter. Inner silence is alignment. Inner silence is coherence. Inner silence is when your energy stops scattering in 1,000 directions and begins flowing like a laser toward transformation. This is why practices like meditation, deep breathing, or mindful observation are not optional luxuries. They are essential. They are training grounds for silence. Every time you sit in stillness, you are strengthening your capacity to hold energy without leaking it. You are expanding your ability to wait without anxiety, to build without needing immediate validation. Silence also teaches trust. Transformation requires faith that even when nothing seems to be happening on the outside, everything is happening on the inside. It requires belief that silence is not emptiness, but fullness in disguise. And the more you lean into silence, the more you realize it is not about doing nothing. It is about letting the right things unfold without interference. At some point, you will notice a shift. What once felt like an urge to speak, to share, to explain will transform into a calm knowing that you don't need to. You will realize that your silence is not hiding. It is incubating. It is charging. It is aligning. And when the time comes to reveal your transformation, it will not require your voice to convince anyone. Your energy will speak for itself. This is the ultimate power of silence. It makes your transformation undeniable. Because when you allow your growth to mature in silence, it emerges with such clarity, such force, such radiance, that no one can question it. You don't need to argue, defend, or persuade. Your life becomes the evidence. Imagine this: instead of announcing your goals, you live them. Instead of explaining your transformation, you embody it. Instead of asking for validation, you command respect simply by being. That is the power of silence. So how do you practice this power? Start small. Resist the urge to overshare. Notice when you are about to speak just to release tension or to seek validation, and choose silence instead. Observe how much energy you save, how much clarity you gain, and how much stronger your inner world feels. Then, deepen your practice. Create daily moments of intentional silence. No distractions, no conversations, no noise. Let your energy gather. Let your mind settle. Let your subconscious recalibrate. These silent moments will become the foundation of your transformation. And finally, honor the sacredness of your dreams. Treat them like treasures. Not every dream needs to be explained. Not every vision needs to be shared. Keep some parts of your journey private, sacred, untouchable. Let the world see only when it is ready, and when you are unshakable. Remember this: noise is common, silence is rare. Noise is weak, silence is strong. Noise leaks energy, silence builds power. The world may push you to speak, but your soul is asking you to be still. And in that stillness, transformation happens. So choose silence. Let it protect you. Let it strengthen you. Let it transform you. And when the time comes, let your silence turn into power that no one can deny.